Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're starting a series on the game 7 Billion Humans. This is the follow-up to Human Resource Machine, which is a programming game from Tomorrow Corporation. Although I think this sequel goes more for maybe a parallel thread processing concept. In the first game you were making a program that controlled only one person. Here we're going to make programs that seems to control lots of people. There was kind of a funny little backstory as you did these puzzles in the first game, where you're working at this corporation, but in the background there are news stories of the entire planet being attacked by sentient AI robots or something along that line. I don't remember how the story really revolved or ended. In fact, it may even be that I played the only up to a certain point in the previous game and then kind of gave up just for the complexity of the puzzles. That they did get a little bit difficult for something that seemed like it was introductory, and so I don't know if we actually made it all the way to the end without cheating. I probably did start cheating at some point. Let's go ahead and start a new save file. And let's see, who do we want to be? Seems like there's a kind of random character generation. Let's pick this girl because she is going to stand out in the crowd. Alright. Interesting, is it not going to let me type in my name? By the looks of it, it doesn't seem like there's any controller support outside of the game. The audio and the music is seemingly like really loud. I have it down to 1%. Oops. And I guess that's the X button. So it's a simplistic app, to say the least. So what'll be interesting here, in a sequel, are we going to get the exact same or similar puzzles? Or are we going to get really, really difficult puzzles to start, and is it just going to get it more difficult? These cutscenes are new.
But aren't there any good jobs left for hardworking families like us?
I don't think there was any voice acting in the first game.
Machines have provided unlimited free energy, unlimited fast, clean transportation, unlimited free nutritious food.
Most people would not, generally speaking, say the sun is a machine, and the sun is preventing a somewhat unlimited free energy. The sun will eventually burn out.
Creating jobs.
You want jobs? You will have jobs. They will be the best jobs. Huge. Believe me, you have never seen so many jobs.
This game came out in 2018, so this joke is not aged well.
Every single person on the planet and the whole family to enjoy.
I have a PhD in medieval French literature.
Even the most useless skills can be put to work in the new office building visible from space. Congratulations, all 7 billion humans on the planet. You're hired.
So yeah, and we'll probably get to 8 billion people eventually. So the little coffee things, I guess, are cutscenes. So we could get into a deep socio-economic argument there. I think it is often, just to keep it short and sweet, overstated that people would actually demand to work if they were in a post-scarcity society where all their needs and desires were completely made, given to them through automation. If you literally could just sit around and play video games all day because you were given free rent, free utilities, free clothing, free food, everything, I think 99% of people would do that, and then the last 1% would be artistic, or more accurately, I think 99% of the time people would do that, and then the last 1% they would do something artistic just for their own enjoyment. Things that could never be automated. But certainly there is a dogmatic repetition that people need jobs to feel satisfied, particularly men need jobs to feel satisfied, and I just don't think that's really the case. It would be awkward, certainly, but it's not impossible to adjust. And that's about as much as I'll leave at that, because that's not really what this game is about. So, no voice acting here. You're late. Everyone is already here. They're just standing, blinking, waiting for your instructions. This isn't about just you anymore. You're the boss of all these workers. So, since they were just arbitrarily given busy work jobs, of course it would totally then make sense that you as a year 2 employee and a kid is arbitrarily given the position of management and made a boss. They'll do whatever you say. Let's see how fit this workforce is. Just please have everyone pick up their individual green data cube and drop it again. Let's see. Let's put those little arms to good use. Yes, there's nothing like an early success to inspire confidence. So I feel like this was on this side in the first game, but it seems like we're going to be doing it on this side, which makes a little bit more sense. Most people are right-handed, so the mouse cursor would tend to be on the right hand. So pick up and drop. And let's play. Nothing to pick up. Okay, so they're not directly over. Tell your workers to step down 1 tile, then pick up the green data cube and drop it again. An excellent work. Okay. So, each one of these steps was literally needed. Now, interesting, because this is a weird way of programming, because it's not really like parallel threads and multiple cores in the processor doing different things. It's more like if you were sorting kind of like through a database at the same time. If you were searching a database where a name had to start with the letter A and the age had to be 21 years old. Like doing 2 things while having several threads, several cores in a processor. Well, usually in computers, for each core there's 2 threads, at least in modern days. But really, I don't think you would program like this. I think they are kind of getting a step away from what would be a realistic way to think about programming, and I don't know if this really teaches you anything new. Yes, stunning work, everyone. These workers are clearly experts at picking up and putting stuff down again. So, the presence is requested on the next floor, so you're a year older now, and you're upgraded to the next floor. Oddly promoted. Hey, you guys up there? That line of data cubes is too far away to read. Please tell the workers to move the entire line of data cubes down by 2 tiles. Just set it right there between those nice potted plants so we can see it a little easier. These glasses aren't just for looking handsome, you know. I saw someone compare this to assembly language. I find that argument a little hard to believe. This is not really anything close to assembly language in my book, because even doing something like picking up something would, in assembly language, be 3 or 4 lines of code, and it would be very cryptic code. This is definitely a compiled language, a syntax language that is much more human readable than that. And yeah, if you were going to move a whole set of numbers from like one memory location to another memory location, really a CPU would do that as much as needing to make a separate program and then have so many actors do it that way. But I guess what this is accomplishing, even if this doesn't really feel realistic to programming, is accomplishing what we ran into in a problem with the previous game, which was if I was to write this code the way I normally would have done it with just one person doing it here, they would have had to go down, pick up a cube, move down, go to the right, go up again, pick up a cube, and I would have had to make a loop. And that's almost certainly how you would do this, and then that would be many more CPU executions, and that would theoretically take a lot longer, but you're talking in milliseconds time, and I don't know how many shift registers you really would have in a CPU, because that's really what this would be an equivalent to, is to load 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers, and since they're double-digit numbers, they would have to be at least 8-bit numbers. So load 10 8-bit numbers into a register from one memory location, and then shift register it all. Maybe the shift register is the wrong phrase, but move all of it from that memory location to another location. Doing all of that in parallel, it's not likely to happen, and you just really don't need a program to do that. And even if you did try to program it that way, I'm not sure a standard CPU would actually do it that way. Like the icons on the desktop, deliberate posting, positioning is everything. Man, I'm gonna have to read correctly if I'm gonna be able to play this game. And see, the reason long-distance delivery, the reason I wanted to play this is because I was dangerously getting close to thinking about writing assignments for as a way of teaching Python to kids, because I was gonna really see if I could challenge myself there, and I'm not really qualified to do that at all. But kids definitely, as of this recording, are out of school and bored for summer, and Python is probably the language that I would recommend people, young kids, like 2nd, 3rd, 4th graders, if they're smart enough. I don't know how smart an average 2nd grader is, but Python would be the thing to teach. There is this MIT created programming language called Scratch. It is a lot like this game, but kind of worse, because it just makes everything drag and drop and Lego like, and it does not really have any real typing, and it doesn't really establish that that's not the real way programming is going to work for people. And I really feel like while it can build up the confidence and inspire kids, they're really setting them up for just a major amount of disappointment, because as soon as you get away from Scratch programming and you have to go use Python and actually type in code on a blank text file, or as soon as you get to HTML5 and JavaScript, or as soon as you get to C++, or any other language that would actually be used, C#. There's even a Q# that they're talking about becoming a standard for quantum computers. Yeah, they shouldn't really be teaching that in school, since that's way too unbaked. But yeah, just starting so pictorially is not realistic. to call it programming. That's the beauty of a game like this, though, is you can say this isn't really programming. This is a game that makes you feel like you're programming. In the same way that Hacker Evolution is not really hacking. It's just a game that makes it feel like you're hacking. And there is a benefit there. You just have to be honest about what you're really doing and not dumb down things to the point of effectively perpetrating a magic trick on kids. I'm going to talk a lot, probably, in this. I just read a book on mindfulness meditation, so important. I'll let you borrow it later. I would like you to completely clear my mind, and also the room. All data cubes and workers must be cleared away so I can concentrate. Workers, please pick up the data cubes next to you, and just keep walking until you exit the room through one of the convenient holes on the right side. What's at the bottom of these infinite holes? Yes, that's a very good question to think about while meditating. You've got a new command. Jump. No, your workers will not actually jump up into the air. This is just not one of those games. Here, this one will tell you all about it. So now we have a little bit of a helper. So, we don't need to really check here. What we need to do is go this way and then pick up a block, and then we're gonna put a step to go this way. Since there is a hole for each one of these, this won't really be a problem at all. And then we're gonna put a jump loop, which is effectively a go-to command, which is effectively never encouraged. It's never ever encouraged by anybody to be used in programming, because go-to loops just create a huge problem when you try to figure out what your program is doing later. And functional programming has long since replaced that, and for the most part class programming has replaced functional programming since then. So yeah, the reliance on the looping element here is still not something I would agree with. I kind of thought these forward arrows might move them faster to the right, like they were conveyor belts, but apparently not. I am an ocean. I am an autumn forest. I am a sunset. I am hungry. Anyone want to get lunch? Anyone? And we don't have any like bonus puzzles on this first group of them, it seems. These are just the simple puzzles that everybody should be able to figure out. Let's all ask ourselves a little question. Would you prefer an instant shrieking splattering doom, or going to a really fun office birthday party? Well, now you have a new command to help you decide. Everybody, let's all take a look to our left and to our right. On one side you have a nice way towards the office party. On the other side you have Eternal Doom. Use the new if command to locate which side has a data cube. And continue walking in that direction until you fall into the nice safe hole that'll take you to the office party. Choose wisely. I'll see you there. Okay. So then it's just if, and then you get a little pull down. If it is to the left, and that equals, ooh, this is new, a data cube, then usually it would say then at this point. And look, there's even Boolean logic Van der Noor. Then pick up, well, step to the right, pick up, and then step to the right, and then jump that way. And this is going to be a little iffy in my opinion. It's probably a better way you could program this with more commands. And we can see it's already taking up quite a bit of space. And the mouse wheel works, thank goodness for that, but we're going to be mouse wheeling quite a lot at this rate. And oddly, it seems like my monitor might not be in the right resolution. Let me see if I can change that. Pick shape 2, pick shape 3, pick shape 4, pick shape 5, pick shape 6. Maybe that's the right one. That wouldn't have changed anything for you. Yes, congratulations, that was truly a feat of engineering. Yep. It would have been a lot easier to simply set a value to left or right and then recall that value when running these other commands. So I could just say if it's to the left, the value equals left, and then, well, anyways, we'll probably get to that point in a second. I'm not feeling like attending the party, but you guys have fun. What's funny is your boss always seems to tell you, seems to be the same like human character. So seems like there are some human characters in charge still. Little Exterminator 1, Year 6. I'm learning programming. What's interesting here is this is a great setup for a game like this, because if you can't get past this first section with Steam's no questions asked now 2-hour refund policy, should be fairly easy to get a refund. In all fairness, I would argue that some of the way this game depicts itself in the screenshots may not make itself quite as clear as it needs to be, that it's a programming game. And I could see some very, very quick shopper buying this game thinking it was going to be some kind of cutesy top-down RPG or something. I'm learning programming. In fact, I already solved this assignment for you. Well, sort of. The worker is supposed to go pick up the cube down below without falling into the holes, but something's wrong. So I'll allow you to fix it for me. Let's watch what happens together. Okay. And see, we have a little code here that's a label. For the other program, use this button to step through a line at a time. Sure. So she goes this way, 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 and this way. So, what we would want to do, where are the commands here? I guess I still have to just step through everything because it doesn't seem like it's going to let me drag and drop the commands. And that would be a pain. Ideally, there's no logic in this. This is just a hard-coded command that would only work in this one scenario, which is the worst way to make a program, quite frankly. To put no logic in a computer and just tell it to do something and hope it always works. All your workers have died. Alright. So, what I could do is I could say, and this position is not is equal. Let's see, what do we have? Is not equal to nothing. You could do it that way, and that would be the most change to do here. So let's just hit play and fix it that way using Boolean logic. Like that. Or you can just say, get rid of all of your garbage. Alright, we'll have to do this the way I would do is, you go, if this is equal to nothing, step down. Else, step. Else if this is this way is equal to nothing, step this direction, going right, else step here. Now this opens up a potential problem though, because what could happen is we could go back and forth in this pattern over and over again. So what you'd want to do is, this is putting in a lot more logic now. If this is equal to a whole, then you'd have to probably at that point jump to a whole second part of the like a whole second part of this. And then what you would probably want to do I'm overcomplicating this by a lot. Quite a lot. And that could be a danger, certainly, of doing any program like this. Because we kind of need two cases where if you can walk down, you go down. Else, if you can't walk down, you go right. And then but if you can't, this would then check again if it's right, and that's not really what you would want to do. You'd want this to go back up to the top, and then what you want to ask is, else if this is a whole, which tells me that I've gotten all the way to the right. We need to then jump like all the way out of the loop, and then what we need to do is instead let's see, I don't know if this else matters. Yeah, I think then you have to kind of repeat code at this point and say go. If it's down, step down again. And then try and else this and go right. And what this really is just a long system here to try and make this so it's more logical. And honestly, it's not going to take more steps. It's just adding a lot of complications to it. And then the last thing you would want to do is, if this turns into a hole, then you want to go ahead and have it step upward. So it's going in like a full clockwise direction. And if it's going to step upward, then at that point it needs to jump all the way back to the beginning again. So let's see if that works. Down. So what went wrong there? We did this. It looked to see if it was a down thing. It said yes. It went down. Ah. And then it just ran out of code because I forgot to put a loop to just have this do this forever. 19 lines of code. And you can definitely see how this is just like more complicated than need be. Down, down, can't go that way, can't go that way, can't go that way, go that way, can't go that way, can go that way, oops. And see, that's the danger. There's, we've got a infinite loop, very easy to create in programming. Right, so at this point, it says it can't go that way, and it sees there's a hole there. It can't go that way. It can go this way. So what just jumped back up? Because that's the one that's the mistake. This one, this loop here, and this really needs to, this loop here needs to go that way. Yep. Well, not that loop, actually. Maybe I need another loop? Probably do. What's one more loop? Between friends? And it doesn't really matter what order these are, so you can do whatever you want on that let's try that again. Oops. I got into an infinite loop. Now it goes upwards. It's definitely this jump command. Hmm. That feels like that should be. It should. Take us back up here. There's a hole to the left. Go up. And then work your way back down. That seems right. Now, in a scenario like this, it does probably save you time to just be quick and dirty and do pre-hard-coded motions, but it doesn't lead to any code robustness when you do it that way, so your code doesn't become useful to you or anyone else in the future, because after a certain point you're just you're just using it for this one scenario, and then you have to hard program something else later on. Maybe that's the trick. And we could speed this up with this speed slider. Seized as a whole, it moves up. It shouldn't ever do that. Seized as a whole here. Seems also weird that this character is just named Esther. Moves to the right. See if we can undo. Man, I can't even get the undo the show up. I really am just goofing around more than anything. Alright, when this moves to the right. If this is to the right, go that way. And when you go that right way, you should go back to this command and look again. If it's not, if there's nothing to the right, check to see if there's a hole. If there is, go up. Else, I suppose, see. If there isn't a hole, step to the right. That just does that automatically. Maybe it is just one more loop that's needed. Goes down. Goes down. It sees it can't go down. It sees it can't do that. It sees that it can't go that way. You know what? This just needs at this point, I think an AND command. If it's a hole, step right, and then jump back to the top. Or maybe you don't go up at all. That's a hole. And I don't even know what. The easier part of this would be to just say, if this is a hole, simply then jump this all the way back up here and try again. But then that doesn't bring in the idea of going up. But it's trying to go right. If it can't go, it's trying to go left. If it can't go left, then, and see, this really isn't even a good example, so I don't think the step up idea works. But there we go. Well, not quite. Not quite there. Wow. It's almost like I'm intentionally throwing in monkey wrenches. Let's get rid of this jump and let's see how that plays out. We probably should speed this up a little bit too. Just for time saving. Oh. I did not program it, unfortunately, to ever step down. So it is programmed here to never look and never move before it leaps. So we can just say in that, or down this way is equal to a data cube. And make this a lot smarter, or that is equal to a data cube, But you can certainly see how something like this just overcomplicates things. Here we have a jump command that does literally nothing. Well, maybe it did do something actually. It jumped us out of code. Jumped us out of code that is not a loop code anyways. Certainly you could almost always pour through your code and improve things. But certainly in a game like this, it's not really worth it to do something like that. Yeah, I think I actually put some extra OR commands here that aren't needed. Yeah, we don't actually need the OR commands in the points where we go down. So if this is a hole, go to this command. I don't think this jump is needed. It would be nice to be able to comment out something like this, double click it and not use it. But the only real way you could do that would be to jump around it, which would just once again overly complicate the code. And here we have a jump command that's taking us all the way to the top, followed by another jump command. It's taking us all the way to the top. So that's unnecessary. Unless I move some things around. See how that works. Ah, but you were supposed to pick up a data cube. Okay. So then we would need to put in a early win condition. If you're standing on a data cube, pick it up. Easy enough. But it didn't quite work as well as that should have worked, because sometimes I go over here, so I would have to put the same code here. It doesn't seem like it's counting your steps or your anything like that yet. So yeah, 24 lines of code, many of which in actual programming would be reduced quite a bit, because you would have a else statement in most languages turn into an else if statement, so that this would be on one line. I think there also should probably be a adjustment on just the length. Yeah, there's a lot of dead space in this scenario, but I think most scenarios that won't be a case. Here we have a unnecessary piece of code from the looks of it. So that could get us down to 22 lines of code. And definitely a lot of jumps here that you would prefer not have existed. That is weird. And I think there's a way to put a comment in, or a label anyways. And if you're doing this functionally you would definitely try to work on this quite a bit. You have 2 lines here repeated, so that would be a function, obviously. So you could take 2 lines to say, if you're standing on a data cube, pick it up, call that function 2 times. That saves you probably no lines of text in such a simplistic example, but it does save you many lines of text in any real world example. We have here a scenario where it just walks upward if it is exhausted all other options, and that does leave open the door that you fall to your death and jump off the edge. But in every other scenario, it is definitely looking for things like that. You have copy and paste here, which is also helpful. Let's just see how fast this goes. Yeah, even at that highest speed, that is going to probably be fairly slow in examples of bigger puzzles. Collation station. I'm not going to do that for many puzzles probably anymore, because it's not really worth it, and the actual bonus levels will give us plenty of challenge, I'm sure. This place is a mess. The engineers left data all over the floor, and those people have no appreciation for style or art. Okay, let's pick up all the data cubes and organize them in a nice line along the bottom row, right between the useful arrows. These arrows are kind of hard to see. They should have just stuck with the plants. But watch out for that infinite hole. What? How can you know where data cubes are? Or where infinite holes are? Well, it says here, remember your if command will illuminate the world around you. People say the world around me is a haze of confusion. So now we can put a command in, but you're really just drawing commands, you're not typing them, which is kind of a useless labeling system. That last puzzle, by the way, also only 1 person, so totally different from where we were in the previous situation, where there was only one. Well, totally different from all the previous situations that we've done up to this point. That definitely felt like a waste. There is something to be said about the scope at which these characters can look at things. It'd be a lot easier if you could just say, look at 5 steps ahead of you, all 5 spaces ahead of you. But there's no way to do that. You could look in every direction. Well, I guess they can they move directionally? I guess they can. Ooh. So even in that previous example, instead of only going in 4 cardinal directions, I could have simply decided to go in 8 directions. That should be all of it right there. Oops. I'm so used to there always being loops in these things by default that it comes off odd when there actually isn't a loop just by default. Well, that worked, I guess. Whoa. Now we're leaving dangerously really on the edge. Ha ha ha. So, yeah. The only thing I forgot to do is care about the humans here. Which, one more command, if command, which would be one more CPU process. Um, hmm. Would be helpful if you want the humans to survive. Otherwise, if you don't care, that code works. It's a little interesting that they get out of order and then they all sync back up. But apparently your code never ends, and thus you would need then to jump out of the code with an else statement at the moment. Although ideally you would want to use something closer to like a break statement at that point to exit the loop. So, yeah, a couple more lines of code needed to save the humans. Alright, well, let's see. It's weird that you kind of have to solve the puzzles because that's really the only way to get out of these menus that I can see without going to the menu and potentially going back to the very beginning. So, this is as good of a place as any to end this recording. We're going to see another cutscene. We're going to start doing some more difficult ones. You're going to see that there's less. We did 7 here. There's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 here. So you're talking about 6 instead of 7 plus 2 extra ones. And then we're going to work our way up. And once we hit the blue ones in the first game, that's when things started to get really difficult, and now we've got some orange ones and some red ones, and it does seem like some of these names are definitely indicators of something. I would say it would be nicer though if this game, in the purchase of the sequel, you're guaranteed the original, because it could be potentially a little expensive to have to buy Human Resource Machine, and then if you really enjoyed it, buy 7 Billion Humans. On the other hand, you're also in a weird position where it might be very smart to only buy Human Resource Machine, play it, then wait 6 months to a year, and then play 7 Billion Humans, depending on how involved in programming you are. If you are a young kid just learning programming, you probably would have taken a class in between that time. Maybe you would have. And then this might be a lot easier. The sequel might be a lot easier for you than the first game. Whereas if you hadn't taken any classes and you just played Human Resource Machine, then waited a year and played 7 Billion Humans, you probably wouldn't have learned anything and forgotten most of the things from the first game. So then the sequel would just be way more difficult for you. It's a little weird. Probably your best bet would be to play some other kind of programming game that isn't so directly, obviously a programming game. Something like Infinifactory or Satisfactory or something like that, where there's still a lot of programming going on in those games, but they're hiding it behind more visual elements. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. I guess we'll go about an hour each episode. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.